Hey guys, today we're talking about understanding divorce and real estate and the processes involved. And I'm joined today by Mario Alvarado, a divorce attorney right here in San Diego. How's it going, Mario? How's your Friday so far?
It's going well. It's going well. It was a busy week, but I'm glad it's Friday.
Oh my God.
When I say thank God it's Friday, thank God it's Friday.
I know, especially in our business, right? So tell me about like how you serve families, like what services do you bring? What do you guys do over at the firm? I mean, a lot of divorce, but family law, what is it that you guys cover?
So the way I go about it is like I always tell people I'm a divorce attorney, but my specialty is in family law. My firm's Embry Family Law, and it encompasses just more than just divorce. It encompasses child custody and visitation, paternity actions, which is usually when it's just baby mama and baby daddy. And there was never a marriage, but there's a kid involved. And we also do prenups, postnups, and post-judgment issues, which be like issues that arise after the divorce has been finalized, either enforcing a judgment, enforcing custody orders, anything along those lines.
Okay.
We also do some guardian ad litem issues at times. So it's basically like when there's a guardianship issue going on. So we get involved in that. It's a little bit outside the scope of family law because it focuses more on juvenile, but it encompasses a lot of stuff that involves family.
Oh man, you guys run the whole gamut, huh? When it comes to family and kids and marriage and divorce.
For the most part.
Well, how's business? Business must be good, huh?
Business is good. I mean, here's the thing. People are never going to stop getting married and people are never going to stop having children.
Right.
And people are never going to stop fighting.
Man.
It feels like it's part of nature at some point. You're like, people are just always going to have some conflict.
Well, based on who you believe, it's somewhere between 50 and 70% divorce rate in California, at least.
Yes.
So,
for the most part.
Are you seeing that as well?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. Has not been there's always a slowdown throughout the years.
Okay.
It's always in the holiday where it kind of slows down a little bit, but then it starts picking up again in January and February when tax season comes around.
Imagine that.
Refund check comes in. It's like, okay, I can afford to leave this person.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, these are kind of some tender moments, maybe some dark chapters of people's lives that they're going through, right? And I don't have to tell you how hard it can be to usher somebody through the dismantling of a marriage, the dismantling of a life together, and of course, the real estate, which we'll get to. But what are three things you would point out or three tips you could give to people that don't consider when they're going into this whole process of getting divorced?
Well, first tip that I would get a prenup.
Get a prenup. Sure.
That solves a lot of issues right off the bat if you can avoid it. It's like having car insurance. It's like it's better to have it and never to use it than to have a need for it and not have it.
Okay, great advice. Yeah, we say that a lot here is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure,
exactly.
Right? So have a prenuptial agreement going in.
Exactly. But then the next thing is also be very adequate with your finances. Make yourself well-versed on what you have. Because there are certain situations where you have one spouse that is like the financial accountant of the family, and the other one that's like, oh, I let the other person just manage everything. When they're falling apart, the person that has the knowledge is going to have more insight into the game.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So have an equal footing, have some knowledge of the whole picture of what's going on.
Yes.
That's hard too, because you want to trust the partner in life, right?
I mean, that's the goal eventually, but I mean, when a marriage falls apart, it's usually the distrust that's already been growing from the inception of it all.
Man. Okay. Cool. And then the third tip?
The last tip I would be is go to therapy. Reason why is emotions take over, and emotions are the reason that divorces become so costly. In other words, divorce is actually pretty simple. Honestly, if you just logistically put everything down, everything that was acquired during the marriage, including assets and debt, split 50-50. But when you get emotional about it, you're like, well, I deserve this and I deserve that. California's a no-fault state. It doesn't matter why the marriage fell apart. It doesn't matter who did what or who was a higher income earner in that asset. Everything's community property that was acquired during the marriage. So just because one spouse was making $300,000 and the other spouse was doing a minimum wage job, they were a community. So when they walk away, they're like, well, I deserve more because I was invested in it all. Yeah, but that's the emotional taxing part of it all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you agreed that we were going to have everything 50-50 when you signed this marriage certificate, right?
Exactly. It's an implied assumption.
Oh, man. Okay, so have knowledge of all the assets and what's going on financially. Get a prenup if you can, and then go to therapies to get through some of this emotional chaos, which is just the human condition, right?
Yes, because I mean, the one phrase I was taught my first year of being a family law attorney, and I believe it: pettiness is expensive.
Oh, man. So people dig in, right? And they're like, no, like won't give an inch. And that's costly.
I mean, I will say yes, for the most part. I mean, put it this way. Some of the most expensive items that have come out in divorces that I've seen are litigation over a family pet, litigation over nonsensical, like, household items, trash cans, I kid you not. It was a case where the parties litigated over a RV brush and a trash can.
Oh, man.
That was something you can get at Target, and they spent maybe closer to $20,000 just going back and forth to be petty with each other.
So it wasn't even the thing; it was the fight. There was the emotional attachment to it.
I don't think it was emotional attachment to the objects, but I think they just wanted to get, I won this argument.
Yeah,
And
man. Pettiness is costly.
Pettiness is costly.
Yeah. We could all learn from that. So now when, most of our viewers are in the real estate space.
Yeah.
And so when real estate gets involved, I have to imagine that doesn't make things prettier. It can make things a lot uglier because it can be cut and dry. Like you said, if you have two amicable parties or at least reasonable, able to talk to each other and come to an agreement on things. Tell us about the intersection of real estate and divorce and what you see on those terms.
So with real estate, there's a lot of influx in that in divorces now because with interest rates going so high than they were back in 2020, people have this assumption, well, I deserve to have a house again. If I'm getting a divorce, I should be able to afford a new house. I'm like, well, you have a right to your share of the property you have, but you don't have a right to get something equally of value out there in the real world again.
Right.
Because you probably bought this together as a dual income household. Now you're a single income household, and the interest rates are not as what they used to be. Mm-hmm. So that's been playing a lot of effect, especially getting refinanced, getting a buyout, a lot of those issues. And in divorces, it could be very complicated depending on when the property was acquired, or much so if it was ever refinanced.
So they have to take all those things into account, and then they are splitting the baby, so to speak, in terms of the house. So whatever value's there, the expectation might be, well, I'll just go and move three houses down, or I'll keep the house, and then the other party said, well, I can go buy it like or equal value. Not always the case.
Exactly.
Okay. So what about like when any twists and turns, any unforeseen things that people don't anticipate other than being able to buy something of like value? Like, for instance, something we run into is the divorce decree has to be finalized before the person can legally buy under their own name and have it not affect via community property co-ownership with the ex, right? So because they might be in the process of divorcing, but they're still legally married until when?
They're legally married until there's a divorce judgment entered.
Okay.
However, it doesn't necessarily mean they cannot buy something while they're undergoing the divorce. It just means more additional paperwork and recognition that this person is buying a separate property house and the old spouse has no interest in this home.
And they have to sign off through an interspousal deed, correct?
Yes.
And so if they're in, a civil war, so to speak, then they don't want to sign nothing to help the other person out, right?
Exactly. And I mean, there are avenues to get the document signed, like appointing a liaison in court, but you're going to spend more money getting something appointed, to get an order, get a hearing.
And the judge has to approve the Elizer?
Yes.
Right. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky because the timing involved is they may have been settled and then waiting for the courts to do what they do, which in San Diego, we're backdated and there's a huge wait, right? Yeah. Oh, there's a line around the building, so to speak.
Well, more so, I mean, you file a motion right now for anything regarding child custody visitation, regarding spousal support, regarding real estate division of assets as well, or setting for trial. Like, for example, you set a trial for like a day right now. Currently today, you might get a date already in 2026. Not anytime soon. You're looking at maybe April, May.
Wow, already. So that's like 6 months out,
Exactly.
5 months out, 8 months out. Who knows?
And one of the catalysts of all that is the fact is you have clients that are like, why can't they hear my case now? I'm like, there's a line.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just...
I mean, this is bureaucracy. This is the city. This is the county. And there's a line to get in just to be heard.
Basically.
And then, so what are the mechanics of that? You get your motion, you get in front of the judge, you put the case in front of them, and they make a ruling, or?
Yeah, essentially for like minor issues. So, for example, one of the big things is the house, right? Real estate, we're talking about that. The selling of a house is a trial issue. And what that means is you can't, as long as the divorce is proceeding, the house cannot be sold until you reach trial or a judgment.
Okay.
And when they say trial issue, it's because it's when the final trial is set for the matter itself, not something in between. The only way you can advance the sale of a home in the middle of the proceedings is if either party cannot maintain the household anymore. And in order to ensure that the parties keep their asset, or at least the liquid asset that has accumulated within the home, you have to force a sale then at that point. So, for example, you have breadwinner spouse that left the home and is living in an apartment, but then the stay-at-home spouse stays at the home, but they're like, okay, well, I can't maintain this, and the stay-at-home spouse is, oh, well, I want to stay in this home, but I don't want to pay for it because I don't have enough money. Well, he can't afford it anymore. He's barely maintaining his expenses, and partner B staying in the home can't afford it either, but they're stuck in their way. Well, you have to get a court order mandate.
Because now it's threatening their nest egg, their equity, their value of their home. So the judge can be like, no, we're threatening the assets, so let's force a sale.
Yeah, before it gets foreclosed and you lose all the equity in the home.
Oh, man, that's a good route to go. Now, if I'm a real estate agent or in the real estate space and I seek to work with more Marios and more divorce attorneys, how can I make myself valuable? What kind of services can I render? Is it comparable sales? Is it reports on clients' properties so you know all the chain of title, for instance? What can I do if I'm a realtor to make your life a little easier?
So chain of title is a huge thing as well. I mean, we've worked with you a few times. Because there are times where we don't realize who actually possesses the home. Was the title ever transferred over to a third party, and for some reason they have a deal with this third party, this couple? And sometimes that was the advice, is like, get a lay of the land of your assets and debts and acquire. Also find out what's the chain of title with your home. Because it could be that one spouse doesn't even know, but they transfer the title to their father-in-law, and father-in-law has possession of it all and was never community property this entire time. They sold off their asset without them realizing it.
Wow.
And so they believe that this is their marital home and they have equity, when in reality they've just been paying their father-in-law something, and there was no community value at the end of it all.
So knowing like where we stand, what are the facts, what's the chain revealed to us in terms of who are the owners, which may reveal some surprises, and unraveling that can be even add more time.
Yes.
And what about because we work with realtors that work with a lot of divorcing clients, but they also, divorce is a distress scenario. So they're calling on them to either offer a cash exit from the property or offer a solution of exiting the property, whether it be retail or wholesale or what have you. So when they come upon a client that's in a divorce scenario, what's the best way for them to bring that client into you so you can help with, because a lot of them haven't lawyered up yet.
Yeah.
Or one has and the other hasn't. Maybe they're in denial, maybe they're slow rolling it, whatever. But when they have somebody that they find in this scenario, how do they interface with you, and how can they bring them to you?
Well, I mean, the best introduction would be like, if you already have our insight with us, you can refer them to us directly. I mean, I've gotten referrals from a few real estate people that I know from here and there, but it's not always so easy to compensate the real estate agent that made that referral back. In wise of like them making the sale on the sale, or making the deal on the sale of the home. So there are issues like that arise between when parties are hugely contentious. For example, like, oh, well, refer me to you. Like, we can put your name on the list, but what happens more so is you have two parties, they're in agreement to sell the home, but they still have so much distrust with each other. So if one party refers like, well, I want to use this real estate agent, the other like, no, I don't trust your person. I don't want that. And you're like, oh God, it's like nobody knows this many people or this connection, but it's just the distrust that most of these parties have with each other. So what usually ends up happening is, if there's at least two reasonable attorneys on the side, and I say reasonable because sometimes attorneys can get stuck in their client's shoes as well.
Well, they're humans too, subject to emotion, right?
And so what usually happens is if you have two reasonable attorneys, there's an idea of like maybe the attorneys both worked with this real estate agent before and they're like, yeah, this is a good agent. Let's use him or her or whoever it is or this company. But more so sometimes they may not have the same connections, but the attorneys themselves have a good working relationship with each other. It'd be like, hey, I'll throw through real estate agents. They're actually all three real good people. Have your client just select one or vice versa. But if they can't reach that agreement, if you were to go to court to force a sale but they can't reach an impasse on the real estate selection, the court would have made a similar order. Either select one of the three or both parties would send three to the courts and the courts may be like,
they'll pick one.
Yeah. So sometimes it's a luck of the draw.
So it behooves the realtor out there to be in contact or top of mind with as many divorce attorneys as possible. So when you're sidebarring, they're like, Joe Schmo over in La Mesa does a great job. We both worked with him. Or, providing value, educating, and like bringing service and value into your world.
Yeah.
Like by virtue of having a login where you can get title chains or saying, hey, email me any properties that you're dealing with on divorces and I'm happy to run these reports for you and other things like that.
Exactly. Or like actually getting the rationale and the reason behind what the fair market value is of this home, because there are some times where one party believes my home is worth $1 million, but the reality is it's actually worth maybe 700 or 600 because there's so much defect on the property that, well, nobody really knows, but maybe one spouse has so involved in the property, it's like, well, the foundation's falling apart. We actually had termites. We tried to get it terminated, but they weren't. So it hasn't been. So while one spouse was ignorant about the condition of the property, the other spouse was like, no, there's actually a lot of work, and we actually have to bring it up to value before we can even get anything closer to that.
Oh, man.
So if as a real estate agent, I don't know the extent of where your guys' network lies, or if you already have people in your back pocket to already inspect the property, if you can come already with like, look, your client's more on point with that, even better.
Yeah, if they walked the property, identified maybe a rough estimate of repairs that need to be made, give you a precise level of a range of value where they think the sales price might fall in, given the appetite for buyers and the current market and comparable sales in the region. If they can give you that information, you can go in eyes wide open and be able to prep your clients for what they have coming on the housing market.
Yeah, for the most part, because I mean, when you're listing assets at the beginning of the divorce, so there's always a step. You begin the divorce process. Then the second step, or I call it the second step, is disclosing all the assets and debts.
Okay.
And that's where you disclose the value of the property. What attorneys normally do, or at least what I normally do, and I was taught this, and I've seen other attorneys do it as well, is like they get comparables online as a rough estimate of like what we're looking for at this property. So like I'll look at Zillow, I'll look at Redfin, I'll look at Realtor.com, and I'll just be like, let me average out the price. So they're probably saying it's roughly 1.2 million the property, but there's also a mortgage on it, so we deduct that.
Yeah.
But then when you do the fair market value sale and you actually assess the equity, a lot of people or a lot of parties themselves don't take into consideration the closing costs and everything that's associated, like the costs that are associated with selling the property. Mm-hmm. So like, well, why am I losing out like on $50,000? I'm like, well, those are closing costs.
Yeah, escrow, title, inspections, termite, loan fees, all of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So where are you finding the bulk of your business coming from? One sec, is it your marketing? Is it your relationships? Is it you and Ben and your sphere of influence and all the people you've known throughout the years? Or can you identify any patterns?
I mean, I've gone through a lot of firms.
Okay.
But so far at Embry Family Law with Ben, he's been around. I mean, when I first started in the field, I've heard of Ben since I was young. I actually saw him in court a few times. I was like, oh man, this guy knows how to argue a lot. So he has a reputation for himself already.
Okay.
Other firms, they had their marketing. I mean, I used to work at Antonio Miranda as well, and
oh really?
They had their billboards.
Yeah, so, provocative billboards. They get your attention.
Yeah, but I mean, I know a lot of firms they use marketing, but it also becomes a reputation thing as well. Like I know a lot of the referrals Embry Family Law gets is because of Ben. Most recently, I'm getting more referrals because of my own network of connections of, sad to say, but like personal connections I know that are undergoing through this turbulent point in their lives. But one good representation right there leads to more referrals to more connections. Like, hey, he knows what he's doing. Hey, he knows how to argue. Because like my philosophy is like I'm hired to remove the emotions out of the most worst point of your life so you can get through the next phase of your life in one piece as possible. Because the thing that happens in a divorce is like it's two people breaking apart.
Yeah.
And as you're breaking apart, pieces are falling off. So I'm trying to keep you together as best as possible.
Yeah, and then operating on your own as a whole entity on both sides, because I mean, we all know somebody, family member, friend. Some of us have gone through it, and thank God I'm still married. I'm still Mrs. Lipsey's first husband, but it can get brutally ugly and go on for long periods of time. So I really respect what you do, and it's really a tough trail to walk down with people when you're dismantling that type of commitment. So, well, and you're doing content, right? And I think educating the various segments of the population, you can't go wrong with putting and shining a big bright light on the process, on what to expect, on what you didn't think you'd have to interface with and deal with in this scenario. So good on you. I really appreciate you coming in. Is there anything else you want to leave the audience with, or how we can get a hold of you, anything like that?
I mean, our office numbers is 619-440-5716.
Nice.
But at any point, any time, what I always tell people as well as especially even potential new clients is like, interview as many attorneys as you want. You're going to go through one of the hardest periods and transitions of your life, and you need somebody there that's going to back you up and that you vibe with as well. I don't find it offensive. Like somebody gets a consult with me, then they go interview 3 other 4 attorneys. You want to make sure that you vibe with them, because if you don't trust your own attorney, you're never going to trust anybody to get you through the process.
Yeah. I mean, somebody you can be completely open with and trust and feel like they're going to have your back.
Exactly.
That's really, really good. Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll be doing this again. Thank you so much for your time and coming in.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. I appreciate it.
You got it. And then we'll see you guys next time, and have an awesome weekend. Bye. Good stuff, dude.